I'll never forget the way she laughed when she said it, like she was tossing me a casual update about grocery prices. I want to start seeing other men, Brooke said, eyes fixed on her wine glass like it held the future she was fantasizing about. It's not that I don't love you, Nick, it's just, I think I've outgrown what we have. That was it. 11 years of marriage, 2 kids, and a mortgage, and she drops that line like she's pitching an open marriage on a late-night podcast. She actually smiled when she saw my jaw lock. And maybe if I'd begged, maybe if I'd cried or asked what I did wrong, she would have pitied me. But I didn't. I looked her straight in the eye and said, then I'll start comparing you to other women. Fair. The smile disappeared. Her face twitched, just a flicker, and that was enough. I'd struck a nerve. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in bed beside her while she scrolled on her phone under the covers, screen turned away, fingers moving fast. She thought she was smart. She thought I was dumb. She was dead wrong on both counts. I didn't snoop, not yet. I wanted her to feel safe. I kissed her cheek before I left for work the next morning, told her I loved her. She muttered, "You too," like she was distracted, like she couldn't wait to get back to whoever was making her heart race through a screen. But this isn't the story of a man who got played. This is the story of a man who got ready. See, Brooke always underestimated me. She thought because I was quiet, I was weak. Because I wasn't flashy, I didn't know how to fight. What she didn't know was that quiet men don't panic. We prepare. I started with a decoy, told her I might be traveling for a few days next week for a marketing summit. I watched her eyes light up like Christmas. The bitch really thought I was clearing the runway for her affair. But while she was texting God knows who under the dining table, I was setting traps. I hired a PI named Jordan, a guy who didn't blink when I told him I wanted names, timestamps, photos, and, if possible, audio. He just nodded and said, standard package. Discreet. Untraceable. 3 days later, I had what I needed. Brooke wasn't just curious. She was full throttle screwing around. A guy named Travis. Gym trainer. 6 years younger than me. Drives a Dodge Charger, bleaches his teeth, and apparently calls her baby doll in public. I saw the pictures. My wife. In my car. Wearing lingerie I hadn't seen in over a year. And the worst part? She looked happy. Not fake social media happy. Not dinner with my husband happy. No. She looked alive. Like she was living some twisted rebirth, and I was just the discarded shell of her past life. But I wasn't angry yet. Not truly. That came later. Right now, I was cold. Focused. Calculating. I made copies of everything. Photos, chat logs, even a short voice memo where she said, "I wish Nick would just stop asking me what's wrong. I'm already gone. He just hasn't figured it out yet." She was right. I hadn't figured it out before. Now I had. But this wouldn't end with me kicking her out or filing for divorce. No. Brooke was the kind of woman who needed consequences burned into her memory. She needed to learn what it felt like to be publicly exposed. Not just punished, but humiliated. Thermonuclear revenge. I had a plan, and it started with a dinner invitation. Our 10 closest friends. Her sister. My brother. A beautiful dinner table. Candles. Wine. Celebration vibes. I told her I wanted to rekindle things with people we love around us. She actually clapped her hands when I suggested it. Said, "Maybe you're finally waking up." Oh, Brooke. I was wide awake. And soon, everyone else would be too. She wore that red dress I used to love, tight, low cut, the one she knew would draw eyes. She even curled her hair and dabbed on that perfume I bought her for our 5th anniversary. Funny how the scent of something sentimental can start to make your stomach turn. The guests started arriving around 7. Friends we'd known for years. Her sister Claire brought her loudmouth fiancé. My brother, Jason, came with his girlfriend. Everyone laughed, toasted, made small talk while Brooke beamed like the star of the show. She poured wine, made jokes, touched my arm like we were still a couple in love. But I wasn't smiling. Not inside. I had a folder on the bookshelf in the living room. It looked like decor. Just a sleek leather-bound case with a magnetic flap. Inside, photo evidence, transcripts, GPS tracking logs. And at the bottom, a single-page letter written by me, addressed to her, signed and timestamped, ready to be read aloud. At exactly 8:20, I tapped my glass. Everyone went quiet. I stood. "I just want to say thank you," I began. "To all of you for being here tonight. It means a lot to me. To us." Brooke smiled, lifting her glass. "To us," she repeated. I looked her in the eye and smiled. "Yes. To the end of us." There was a pause. The air changed. She blinked. Nick, what are you? I've spent the last few weeks watching you, Brooke. Watching you lie. Watching you sneak out. Watching you pretend to be something you're not. And I have to admit, I was slow to see it. But now, I see everything. People murmured. Her smile froze, cracked, then collapsed completely. What the hell are you talking about? She spat, trying to laugh it off. Nick, this isn't funny. I walked to the shelf, pulled out the folder, and placed it on the table. Read it. She hesitated. Claire leaned over, opened the flap, and the first photo slid out. Brooke in Travis's car. Her lips on his neck. A timestamp printed in the bottom corner. Another photo. Brooke in my bathrobe. In his apartment. Another. Her bent over the passenger seat, laughing, phone in hand. Silence. No one moved. Brooke's face turned the color of bone. Her lips opened, then shut. Then opened again, searching for oxygen, or maybe just a way to deny the obvious. You're violating my privacy, she whispered. I leaned closer. You gave that up when you crawled into his car wearing my shirt. Jason muttered, damn, under his breath. Then, to make sure no one missed it, I took out my phone and played the voice memo. The one where she told Travis she wished I would just disappear because she was already gone. Everyone heard it. No one spoke. Except Claire, who stood and said, You told me you were working late. You lying piece of... Brooke lunged for the folder, like destroying the evidence would erase the facts. But it was too late. The damage was done. Her image? Shattered. The polished, confident woman? Exposed as a manipulative, lying coward. She screamed at me, called me controlling, cold, accused me of setting her up, like I was the villain for exposing the truth. You think this makes you a hero? She shrieked, wine sloshing from her glass as she pointed at me. You're pathetic. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't flinch. I just stared at her and said, This doesn't make me a hero, but it makes you unforgettable. She stormed out of the room, slamming the door behind her. No one followed. Her chair stayed empty. Everyone stayed seated, stunned into silence. And me? I sat back down, refilled my glass, and said, So, who wants dessert? That night, I slept better than I had in months. But this was only the beginning. She thought I humiliated her at dinner. She had no idea what was coming next. 2 days later, the fallout started to spread like wildfire. I didn't lift a finger. I didn't have to. Our friends did it for me. Claire posted a cryptic message on Instagram. Blood doesn't make you loyal. I stand with the truth. That got over 800 likes and dozens of comments, half of which were people tagging Brooke, asking what happened. Then came the leak. Someone, not me, uploaded one of the photos to a private friend group chat. From there, it spiraled. Group chats, DMs, even one of her coworkers messaged me, asking if it was true. It was. Brooke went dark online within 24 hours. She didn't come home. I knew where she went, Travis's place, but that didn't last. Less than a week later, she showed up at the house. No makeup, hair in a knot, sweatpants I hadn't seen since college. She looked like someone who had just been tossed into the ocean with bricks in her pockets. I need to talk, she said, standing in the doorway like a lost dog. I didn't move. Why? You finally done comparing me to your gym rat? Her lips curled, then fell. I didn't come to fight. Then what? You want forgiveness? Sympathy. She didn't answer. Instead, she looked past me, into the living room. Her eyes softened when she saw the framed photo of our wedding day still on the shelf. I hadn't taken it down. Not because I wanted to remember, because I wanted her to see what she burned. You made your point, Nick, she whispered. You embarrassed me in front of everyone. You crushed me. I folded my arms. No. I showed them who you are. You embarrassed yourself. Her hands trembled. Can we just talk? You're talking. No, really. I made a mistake. Travis isn't who I thought he was. She paused, swallowing hard. He's seeing other women. He's been seeing them this whole time. I couldn't help but laugh. You cheated on your husband with a guy who cheats. That's poetic. I was confused. I thought our marriage was dead. You didn't try to fix it, I said sharply. You killed it in secret and left me to discover the body. She looked like she wanted to cry. But the thing is, Brooke's tears weren't currency anymore. They had no value. She'd overdrafted that account long ago. I miss you, she said softly. I leaned against the doorframe. Do you miss me, or do you miss stability? Because there's a difference, Brooke. No. I miss you. I messed up. I lost myself, and... I stopped her right there. You didn't lose yourself. You traded me in. You ran toward what felt good, what stroked your ego. Now that it's crumbling, you want to come home like nothing happened. She didn't deny it. She just looked at the floor and whispered, "Is there even a chance?" I stared at her for a long time. I remembered her laugh, the good years, the fights, the late nights, the dreams we shared, the plans we made. And then I remembered the voice memo, the photo of her straddling him in my car, the look in her eyes when she told me she wanted other men. "No," I said, flatly. "There's not." Her face crumbled. "Brooke," I added, before closing the door, "I want you to understand something. You didn't just cheat on me. You betrayed every memory we ever built. You set fire to something sacred, and now you want to warm your hands on the ashes." She didn't say another word. She turned and walked away, shoulders shaking. I closed the door, and I never opened it again. The next day, I filed for divorce. I didn't announce it. I didn't post cryptic messages or try to win sympathy online like she used to. I just printed the papers, signed them, and sent them through my lawyer. Simple, clean, permanent. Brooke tried to delay it, claimed she needed time, that maybe we should go to therapy. Therapy. After she'd emotionally butchered our marriage and left its corpse on my driveway. I told my lawyer to proceed without hesitation. She wasn't my wife anymore. She was a cautionary tale in human form. Then came the property division. She tried to fight for the house. My house. The same one she used to sneak out of while I was asleep. She said she needed it for stability. I submitted the security footage from my home cameras, timestamps, and her own messages saying, "I'll never bring him here. That would be cruel." Except she did. For times. My lawyer smiled when he saw the evidence. Said I had enough leverage to sink a ship. I didn't just keep the house. I kept the car, the savings, and even got full custody of our dog, Max. Because guess what? She forgot to mention him in the paperwork. That's how detached she'd become. She wanted new men, new thrills, and forgot the one soul in this world who still waited for her by the door every day. She showed up to the last mediation in all black, like she was attending a funeral. Maybe she was. Maybe the realization that her perfect fantasy ended in a courtroom with a pen and silence hit harder than she expected. I didn't speak to her that day. I let the document speak for me. She signed. I walked out. But I didn't just walk into freedom. I walked into a new version of myself. See, something strange happens when a man is betrayed so deeply he stops fearing the fall. Because once you've been broken like that, you learn how to rebuild with stronger material. I stopped caring what people thought. I stopped explaining myself. I stopped overgiving. I started hitting the gym every morning at 6 a.m. I stopped drinking. I threw out every reminder of her. The wedding album. Her clothes. The love letters. Burned them in the fire pit out back. It wasn't symbolic. It was necessary. Then something wild happened. I started getting attention. From women. From coworkers. From people at the gym. Not because I tried, but because I stopped trying. Confidence replaced desperation. Clarity replaced confusion. A month later, I went on my first date. Her name was Hannah. She had no baggage, no fake smiles, and when she laughed, it was real. Not performance. Not manipulation. Just joy. I didn't tell her much about Brooke. Just enough to explain why I hesitate when someone compliments my eyes or says, "You're such a good guy." Because I've heard it before from someone who used those words like candy before they gutted me. But Hannah didn't push. She just listened. And for the first time in a long time, I realized I wasn't angry anymore. Brooke didn't destroy me. She freed me. And now, every time I see her name pop up in my inbox with some new request, "Can we talk?" Or "Can I stop by to grab a few things?" I don't feel rage. I don't feel pity. I feel nothing. And that, after everything, is the sweetest revenge of all. 2 weeks later, she tried showing up again. No text this time. No warning, just her car in the driveway like she still belonged there. I didn't open the door. I watched her through the peephole as she stood there for 5 full minutes, arms crossed, eyes darting like she was debating if she should knock again or just break down. Eventually, she slid something under the door. An envelope. Handwritten. I didn't open it. I dropped it in the shredder without a second glance. Whatever she had to say, too late. She had her chance to speak when I begged for answers, when I stayed up those nights wondering what I did wrong, when I still believed the woman I married might come back. She chose silence then. She doesn't get words now. That same night, Jason called. My brother always kept his distance from drama, but this time his voice was tight. "You might want to check Brooke's socials," he said. "I don't," I replied flatly. He sighed. "Just know, she's trying to rewrite the story." So I looked. And there it was. A long, teary post. Filtered selfie, red eyes, soft lighting. The caption? Sometimes you lose yourself trying to be everything to someone. I made mistakes, but I never stopped loving. I just needed air to breathe, and now I'm paying the price for trying to be free. Thousands of likes. Comments full of sympathy. People calling her brave. Heart emojis and stay strong queen from girls who didn't even know me. I laughed out loud. Of course, she'd turn herself into the victim. The kind of woman who could burn down a house and still complain about the smoke. I didn't respond. I didn't comment. But I screenshotted everything. Every lie, every edit, every soft focus apology meant to sell a story to strangers. Because the truth doesn't always roar, it waits. And I had patience now. 1 week later, Travis messaged me. Out of nowhere. Hey, man. I didn't know she was married at first. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I stared at the screen. This idiot. He really thought that was enough? A weak apology after dragging his hands through my life, my wife, my car? I replied with one sentence. You'll know how sorry I felt when you lose your job. He left me on read. 2 days later, his gym got an anonymous tip about inappropriate relationships with married clients. The manager? A friend of mine from college. Small world. Smaller when you've got receipts and connections. Travis was let go due to internal concerns. I didn't celebrate. This wasn't joy. It was balance. One betrayal down, one life lesson secured. Because you don't heal by forgetting. You heal by remembering and using it. And what I remembered most was this. Brooke didn't just cheat on me. She weaponized trust. She twisted loyalty into weakness, patience into passivity. She banked on me doing nothing, on swallowing the pain quietly while she explored herself like a tourist in her own marriage. But I didn't stay silent. I didn't scream either. I burned her illusions to the ground, with calm hands, a quiet heart, and zero apologies. Now, every time I see a couple arguing at a cafe or hear someone say, she would never do that, I just smile to myself. Because I know better. They always say they won't until they do. Spring rolled and like nothing ever happened. Birds still sang, the trees still bloomed, the world moved on just like I did. But I carried the scar, not as a wound, but as armor. A reminder. I started seeing Hannah more. She wasn't flashy, she didn't play mind games, and she didn't walk on eggshells around me. She asked real questions. She listened, not to respond, but to understand. One night, over coffee, she asked something no one had dared. Do you still love her? There was no hesitation. No, I said. I think I loved a version of her that never existed. She nodded, no judgment in her eyes. Just peace. That was the moment I realized I'd stopped bleeding. I wasn't trying to win anymore. I wasn't trying to prove a point. I had already won the moment I walked away and didn't look back. Brooke? She was just echoes now. Ghosts don't hurt you when you stop giving them a place to haunt. Funny thing is, I heard she moved back in with her mom. Apparently Travis ghosted her completely. Left her on read for a week and then blocked her on everything. Someone said he's dating a yoga instructor now. Figures. Guys like him don't do consequences. They just move to the next target. But Brooke? She was learning. Slowly. Painfully. The type of learning that happens when your name becomes a warning and not a memory. I got a message one night from an old friend of hers. Someone who hadn't picked a side back then. She's not doing well, the message said. She cries a lot. Says she messed up the only thing that ever mattered. I left it on read. Because here's the truth nobody likes to say out loud. You don't owe closure to the person who stabbed you. You don't owe forgiveness to the one who smiled while twisting the knife. You don't owe anything to someone who mistook your heart for a doormat. One afternoon, I was cleaning out the garage when I found an old box tucked in the corner. Wedding keepsakes, photos, dumb little trinkets. I stared at it for a while. Then I burned it. Not out of rage. Not as some dramatic movie moment. Just as a final act of letting go. The smoke curled up into the sky, and I stood there, breathing it in, thinking, this is what freedom smells like. I didn't replace Brooke. I didn't need to. What I rebuilt wasn't about finding someone better. It was about becoming someone stronger. Someone who would never again ignore the signs. Never again accept half-love. Never again beg to be seen. I saw me now. And that was enough. To any man out there holding on to a woman who disrespects him, who lies with a smile, who acts like she's doing you a favor by staying, let her go. There's no victory in clinging to poison. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stand up, smile, and say, I deserved more. And now I will have it. And then walk away without looking back. A few months passed, and life began to feel quiet. Not empty, peaceful. No more guessing games. No more fake apologies or sudden mood swings over nothing. Just mornings that began without knots in my stomach and nights that didn't end with me staring at the ceiling wondering what I'd missed. It's crazy how quickly the absence of toxicity can feel like freedom. I started waking up before my alarm. Coffee tasted better. Music sounded different. The weight I didn't know I'd been carrying every day? Gone. Then, one afternoon, I ran into Brooke. It wasn't planned. Wasn't expected. I had just walked out of a bookstore, one I used to avoid because we used to go there together, and there she was, sitting alone on a bench. Pale. Smaller somehow. Like the wind could blow her away. She spotted me and stood up too fast, nearly dropping her phone. "Nick," she breathed. I nodded once. "Calm. Brooke." She stepped closer. Her voice was soft, fragile. "You look good." "I feel good." A pause. Awkward, long. "I've been in therapy," she said, as if that would rewrite the past. I didn't respond. "I've been thinking a lot. About everything. About how I ruined it." Still silent. I didn't know what I had until it was gone. I finally spoke. "You didn't ruin it. You ruined me. And now that I'm back together, there's no room for you." She swallowed hard. Her eyes glassed over. "I miss you," she whispered. I looked at her and felt absolutely nothing. No anger. No sadness. No temptation. Just clarity. "You miss who I was, not who I am." Her lips quivered. "Is there really no chance?" I shook my head. "You buried that chance the night you sent him a heart emoji while sleeping in our bed." She flinched. Then I did something she didn't expect. I smiled. A calm, clean smile. Not bitter. Not mocking. Just real. "Take care of yourself," I said. "But don't wait for me to help you anymore." I turned and walked away. No dramatic exit. No final glance over the shoulder. Just me heading toward the life she threw away for a moment of validation. And that's when it hit me. The real revenge wasn't the exposure. It wasn't the silence. It wasn't even the legal wins. It was this. Peace. Peace she'd never touch again. Peace she thought she'd find in someone else's arms, only to learn that the grass isn't greener, it's just sprayed green from a distance, and when you step on it, it crumbles. I didn't win by destroying her. I won by surviving her. And to every man who's been lied to, stepped on, manipulated, told to accept less or leave. Don't just leave. Thrive. Because nothing haunts the wrong woman more than a man who became untouchable after she lost him. A year later, I barely remembered the sound of her voice. Not because I was trying to forget, but because my life became so full, so calm, so real, that she no longer had space in it. Memories of Brooke were like a bad dream you vaguely recall when brushing your teeth, only to shrug and move on with your day. I never responded to her last message. It came on a Tuesday. Just 5 words. "Do you think of me?" I stared at the screen, then locked my phone and went back to sipping wine on the balcony with Hannah, who was laughing at something stupid I said. The breeze was warm, the sunset was perfect, and her fingers were interlaced with mine like they were meant to be there. No drama. No lies. No masks. Just presence. That's the thing Brooke never understood. Love isn't chaos. It's peace. It's showing up when you're tired. It's choosing someone every single day even when the world offers a million distractions. It's building something real, not chasing dopamine. She wanted options. I wanted forever. And forever doesn't wait for the ungrateful. I sold the house 6 months after the divorce was finalized. Bought a place by the lake. Quiet, open, full of light. I kept one thing from the past, a printed copy of the phrase that sparked it all, framed on my new office wall. Cheating wife didn't expect me to unleash thermonuclear revenge. Every time I look at it, I remember how low I sank. And how high I rose. So if there's one thing I've learned, one thing I'd tell any man sitting in that darkness, wondering if it's his fault, if he's not enough, if he should forgive again just to keep the illusion alive, it's this. Let her go. Let her lies rot in her own guilt. Let her find out the hard way that pleasure without loyalty is just a slow road to emptiness. Let her text you from her pit while you build a kingdom without her. And if she ever asks what happened, just smile and say, "You taught me what I'll never accept again." Then close the chapter and never look back.